Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Fergus Ewing, ex-SNP minister, but still current SNP MSP, has said that the alignment that the SNP have formed with the Greens has been very damaging, and it has meant that the SNP are in office, but they're not in power. Basically, he's saying what we all have said for a while now, that the green tail is wagging the little yellow dog. He says that the policies are being dictated to, that the SNP can't get on to do the things they need to do because it does not align with the thinking of the Greens. They are somehow beholden to them, and they're not acting as the majority party. They're acting as some kind of subservient party who are enthralled to the Greens because they need those votes. And if they fail to do it, then the Greens will threaten to walk. You need to call their bluff. The Greens have got a little bit of power. They're liking it. They're not going to walk away. They're not going to say, right, we're out. Because now that they've got that little bit of power, they would like to keep it. So we're going to take a look at this article, see what Fergus Ewing is saying, and see how, in this case, actually, I agree with him. He is absolutely right. And it's not often we agree with anything said by the SNP. But this one is one of those pleasant exceptions. Here goes. So SNP coalition with the Scottish Greens leaves them in office but not in power, claims Fergus Ewing. Former government minister Fergus Ewing spoke to the Sunday Mail in an explosive interview claiming that the green-driven policies are wedging a gap between the nation and the SNP, and they are. You only have to look at what the Greens are proposing, and every time it goes against common sense and the mood of the nation. The Greens are quite incapable, I think, of reading the room, and they've pushed the bottle deposit scheme, failed. It's almost certainly going to collapse. They're pushing the gender agenda, the gender agenda, but you know what I mean. They're pushing that failed. That's going to go to a court case. The SNP are going to waste millions fighting the UK government. They're going to lose, and all so they can keep the Greens on board. The SNP can blame Westminster, and it's not their fault, even though I undoubtedly think that a lot in the party disagree with it, but they actually need the UK government to win the case so they can keep the Greens on board. It is absolutely madness. And then, of course, you've got your fishing grounds with this highly protected scheme. It's another example of where the majority of people disagree with what that tiny minority of utterly mad, bonkers Greens thinks and desires. But anyway, the SNP's Fergus Ewing has claimed his party no longer cares or believes in people and businesses and is out of step with the majority of Scotland. And it certainly is. We can see this. In an explosive interview with the Sunday Mail, he told how the coalition with the Scottish Greens is leaving thousands of voters believing the SNP are in office but not in power. The former government minister, 65, who's won 6 terms as a constituency MSP at Holyrood since 1999, has been angrily attacking his own party. He has likened the deposit return scheme to the poll tax, ripped up a government consultation on fisheries policy, and lamented the Greens as wine bar revolutionaries. He's a man who's been around a long time. He knows the game. He also knows, I think, that what the Greens are doing is utterly debasing the very existence of the SNP. So well done to the Greens. I mean, anyone who can cause this much chaos just to maintain their grip on power is, you've got to tip hat, to these people. They are destroying the SNP from the inside. Anyone who was a leader, if Humza Yousaf was actually a leader, he'd just get to them and say, look, we're not doing it. You've got a choice. You can either stay in power or you can walk away. We'll leave that up to you. If you walk away, fine, you go now. If you want to stay in power, then you shut up and put up and just let us carry on with the policies we need to do. We've given you the fair bite of the cherry. We've pushed that. Enough's enough. Make your choice. But that would take, firstly, a man with balls and someone who is a natural leader. And in Humza Yousaf, you have neither. The former Rural Affairs Secretary, who held ministerial posts for 14 consecutive years, is calling for First Minister Humza Yousaf to change course or risk falling further out of touch on everything from gender policy to North Sea oil. And of course, Humza Yousaf cannot say whether he wants the North Sea oil to go forward or not. You have the two new oil fields, Rosemount and the name of the other one temporarily escapes me. But he keeps getting asked, does he agree with it? Does he think that it's right for Scotland? And he keeps dithering and not answering, because the answer is yes, it is right. It's right not just for Scotland but the whole of Britain, because at this time we need more energy, we need cheaper energy, and until there is a viable alternative, we have to deal with the cards we have in our hand, and that means oil. But he can't come out and say that because it might upset those bonkers Greens who may wish to walk away. Let them walk away. Let's see if they have the balls to walk away, because I bet they don't. I bet they like having their little bit of power. Anyway, he said, we focused on the essentials between 2007 and 2014, and having a strong economy is the number one essential. We did a huge amount of work to build up confidence in business and in people. We cared about people. We wanted them to succeed. We supported business. We supported every walk of life, whether it was industry, rural farming, fishermen. We valued what they did. We said, you are worth something. You're worth something to Scotland. And we seem to have stopped doing that now. And he's right. Ever since the Greens have come in, they want to basically get rid of fishing industry. They want to get rid of energy manufacture, oil production for energy. They want to get rid of industry because it's dirty. It makes zero difference to the world. Zero. None. Nil. Nada. Because there is one oil field out in Kazakhstan, I think it's Kazakhstan, that emits more CO2 and other pollutants just off this one field than the whole of Great Britain. We make zero influence, and yet they would destroy an entire country to make a point, put thousands of people unemployed, create misery, create poverty, destroy people's lives just so they can say, oh, look at what we've done, aren't we virtuous? We need to lock them up. They're dangerous. They're a danger to society. Anyway, he said, I'm concerned about the consequences of this deal with the Greens. There's now a very prevalent view, especially in rural Scotland, that the green tail is wagging the SNP dog. Putting it even more bluntly, people feel the SNP may be in office, but that the Greens are in power, and that is not winning. That's not a winning formula in politics. Ewing said a catalogue of Scottish Government policies being driven by the Greens that he believes are causing the party to fall further out of step with most people. Absolutely. Everything the Greens do damages somebody. They've got nothing positive to offer. They've offered nothing. And the SNP have gone along with it because they have got weak leadership. Absolutely stunningly spineless leadership, because nobody dare say no. Enough is enough. Not even Sturgeon had the balls to say no. He said, how can we conceivably succeed if we say to oil and gas workers they're not allowed to explore for oil anymore? We should be using our own oil and gas. We're going to need it for decades to come, and it is less carbon intensive than fracking gas from the USA, which has been keeping the lights on in Scotland. The GRR bill was passed by a substantial majority of MSPs, but what's also true is that it was opposed by a substantial majority of the people, like 99%. On the two main provisions, women's privacy and removing checks and balances down to an age of 16, 2/3 of the population were opposed to this. It's much, much higher. 2/3 is what they come up with. But actually, it will be much higher. If put to a vote, it would be 99% of people want women to be safe and don't want children being rushed into decisions. He said, so we are completely out of step with the people. The GRR was a gigantic mistake, and challenging the UK government in court is doomed to fail. But as I say, they're not doing it with the expectation of winning. They're doing it knowing they're going to lose, but having to do it so that they can turn to the Greens and say, it wasn't our fault. We pushed it for you, we've lost it, but it's not our fault. So stay with us, keep us in power. Rather than, actually, it's a complete waste of time, I'm not going to do it. Make your mind up, stick with it, or sod off. Because, like I say, no balls at all. Ewing spoke to us at his Holyrood office on a sunny afternoon last week, where he had been struggling not just with some of the party's policies, but also a recent leg injury. I don't care about that. He is one of Holyrood's most experienced parliamentarians, and his family's links to the SNP and the independents is decades deep. His mother, Winnie Ewing, is an SNP legend, having won the 1967 Hamilton by-election for the party and has been a leading light ever since, while his sister Annabel Ewing is also an MSP and a deputy presiding officer. Talk about keeping it in the family. If you're not married to each other, you're related to each other. No wonder there's all this veil of secrecy in the SNP. He is a qualified lawyer, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He says, I'm not a socialist. I'm not particularly right-wing either. I regard myself as middle of the road, common sense kind of guy. Well, I think, to be fair, he's hit the nail on the head with the problem with the Greens and the way that the policies of the Greens are being viewed by the people. People reject them because they know they're utterly, utterly bonkers. So yeah, he's done. He's said the right thing. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. It's just him going on about his past glories and history and things. But I think he is absolutely spot on right about how the Greens are viewed and how those policies have gone down like a cup of cold sick. Anyway, I shall round off and come up. Yeah, I do think in this case Fergus Ewing is completely correct. The SNP, they've aligned themselves with the Greens. They haven't considered the consequences. What they failed to take into consideration is the fact that the Greens are absolutely bonkers. They believe in things that are fantasy, fairy. There's no basis in reality for the things they say. They want things. They demand this. They demand that. But they can offer no viable alternative. Ban this. Well, what do you want to replace it with? Oh, we haven't thought about that yet. We just need this banned now. Yeah, but this is going to cause misery. Yes, but that doesn't matter. We need to save the planet. The planet is in no immediate danger, and we know this because they haven't banned private jets and vast yachts from spending $1 million worth of oil every time they go to sea. And until they do, then the world is absolutely fine. Thank you very much. If they were serious about doing it, they'd ban these private jets. But that ain't going to happen, is it? Oh no, not for the elite. Just for us. We are the ones putting our little boxes. We are the ones eating the bugs. They are the ones travelling in private jets and eating the steak. Yes, hypocrisy. So we can just safely ignore the Greens because until they've banned all these things, there is no emergency. And it means that we can carry on and not put people out of work, not create misery, not have children raised in poverty. And so Fergus Ewing is right. God bless him. One of the few, isn't he? He's one of the very few in the SNP. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, don't listen to the Greens, they're full of it, and goodbye.